Hi and welcome back to the channel. Okay guys, today we are going to be talking about XRP. It's another XRP video update. And there's a few things to kind of cover off some of the recent developments in the news. So as I get into today's video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will not miss another video update. So let's get right down into it. Okay, so the first thing that we need to talk about is how the CFTC want to set up a regulatory sandbox for digital assets. Now this is actually fantastic and we applaud this. However, we have to consider exactly what Jeremy Hogan from Legal Briefs was discussing on Twitter, that essentially the SEC and the CFTC have differing opinions on digital assets. And as such, if the SEC are not involved in this sandbox, that could potentially cause a problem further down the line. And so are the SEC going to be getting involved in this sandbox for digital assets and testing to see whether or not this actually makes sense and whether or not the current regulatory frameworks will actually work for digital assets? So let me know what your thoughts are on that in the comments below. Do you think that the SEC and the CFTC are going to work together in this sandbox for digital assets, or do you think this is just going to be independent of the SEC and cause us further problems down the line? Right, let's move on to the next piece of news. Okay, so next in the news is how David Schwartz has been talking about XLS-30. This is a proposal for the XRPL, and it's a pretty big one. Something that's been spoken about quite a bit on Twitter as well. Now, XLS-30 is all about liquidity, and specifically impermanent loss. So for those who do not know, when it comes to providing liquidity on decentralized exchanges, for example, you have to provide liquidity at the pair level. For example, XRP to USDT, for example. People would provide USDT into the liquidity pool and others would provide XRP. Now, when the price fluctuates, for example, you might have a drawdown on the USDT side or the drawdown on the XRP side of things, and it creates an imbalance in the liquidity pool. And this essentially creates an impermanent loss situation. Now, when it comes to impermanent loss, the idea here is, and I'm not going to go into all of the details for XLS-30, but the idea is actually to minimize the loss for those liquidity providers. This is actually a very big deal when it comes to the XRPL and being able to implement such a thing. So if you haven't already checked it out, go ahead and check out the proposal by David Schwartz for this new feature to the XRPL. It is a pretty important one, and let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Okay guys, and lastly, before we head back to the studio to take a look at the technical analysis, I thought it would be worth just talking a little bit around liquidations for XRP. So we've seen about $1.2 million of liquidations in the last 24 hours for XRP, of which about 77.86% were long positions and 22.14% were short positions being wiped out. Now this isn't unusual, it's actually a reasonably small amount when it comes to liquidations for XRP. So it's not like big alarm bells are ringing or anything like that. And there's nothing unusual from the exchanges that are making those liquidations either. Essentially, we can see that there is a reasonable amount of accumulation still happening. We speak about this pretty much daily, so there's nothing major concern-wise there either. So I'm going to head back to the studio, we're going to jump into the charts, and we're going to take a look at what's going on with the price action of XRP and where I think things are heading next. Okay guys, let's jump down into the technical analysis on XRP. We'll kick things off with the XRP paired up with USDT on the BitGet Spot Exchange 1 hour time frame. As you can still see, we are trying to track this move upwards. Okay, so we're still targeting out 51.767 to 52.410. That has not changed. We can see here though that we are in a bit of a downward move. This current one, could be a problem for our idea of moving up higher here. So let's go ahead and just do some sense checks within the parameters here. And what we're checking for here is to see whether or not this move hits 1.618, and it has. So that is a sticking point. We are probably not going to be going after this one now. So let's go ahead and adjust and show you what I mean. So we'd have here a kind of wave 1, I'm going to check this into a 5-minute time frame just to check that. Right up here, here you go. You can kind of see it nesting in. In fact, there's one right here. So on this 5-minute time frame, you can kind of see one there. Then, of course, we have our break coming down here. This is our wave 3. So it looks 1, 2, 3, up for 4, down to 5. On the smaller time frame, that entirely could be it complete. But this is also looking sus to me as well. I suspect that's potential diagonal leading us down into a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 situation. So let's bring this back to the hourly. We'll have all those kind of things plotted out on there so we can kind of see that we're in this wave 4 with an idea of a move back to the downside. Now, invalidation of this would basically be up here as well. So we'd want to kind of see us break down or break up higher. Sorry, let me go ahead and remove that. Break up higher than 50.284 to break that structure. If we do not do this, then this does change our structure. It prevents us from moving up into this C wave and continue moving down where we do break down lower than the current swing low and potentially target down here as well on our swing low, which would come in at 48.667. So for the most part, that's going to be an area of interest for us to keep a close eye on. If we continue to break down under this 5-wave impulsive pattern structures, then we are not going to be going after 51.7. Okay, if of course we do rally up and we get some good strength going higher here towards 50.284 and we break that high, then of course this still puts us in play on that 51.7. Okay, so on the hourly chart, there's a few things to be playing for. Take this up to the daily time frame, you can still see that we're bearish here. We are below the 50 and 200 daily EMAs, and we are still looking to complete the 5th wave low point. Okay, so we are still tracking down. It's just a case of whether that's started or not, which on the hourly chart, if we do this move here, then that is basically a progression of our probably wave, beginning of wave 3 of wave 5, okay, on our daily. So as you can see here, we have a wave 1. We're talking about this little move up and then potentially starting that next big move downwards. Okay, so we need to be a little bit cautious because our daily time frame is bearish in comparison to that of some of the other time frames, and we need to consider that we are looking for this wave 3 down here at 35.174 to 39.214, where we then should see a bounce upwards afterwards. Okay, come down first, bounce up, back up quite nicely back to the 50s, and then jump down again, probably heading into the 30-cent range, 30 to 33, to complete the 5-wave pattern. If we do complete a 5-wave pattern here, we would expect a significant bounce back up, but unfortunately further to the downside at a later date, probably targeting out 25 cent or so. Okay, so obviously that's going to be something that spans multiple months. If we take a look at from a weekly standpoint, you can see that we're still below the weekly 50 EMA, but we're above the 200 EMA. This is not a good, strong position for us, but the bulls and the bears will be fighting out for a weekly close, either above or below their retrospective EMAs. So, for example, the bulls are going to want to close above the 50 EMA at 50.81, and the bears are going to want to drag price down and close below the 47.95 200 EMA. So, for the most part, I think the battle still rages on. The market is still trying to decide which direction to take XRP in. I can see momentum shifting around a little bit, but ultimately, our structures on our smaller time frames are leaning us towards being more bearish than bullish right at this particular moment in time. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments below, but I think I'm going to wrap this video up right there. If you have found it useful, informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you're new, subscribe, and if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out, linked in the description down below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.